Hello, my name is Timothy Knight, and I want to visit with you today about a topic you might have heard of before called human growth hormone. Now, before I get started, I want you to imagine one thing with me. I want you to just take a second, slow down, and imagine that you're at your 16th birthday. Now, for some of you, that's not too far ago. For other of us, we got to try a little harder, but close your eyes maybe and think back to your 16th birthday. Your mom and dad have come in and they said, honey, we've got something for you out on the driveway. Your birthday present has arrived. And so they send you outside and you run outside as fast as you can and you get to the door, and as you bust through the door you see this beautiful brand new shiny red Corvette sitting in the driveway. You can't believe your eyes, and you run up to the car as fast as you can, thinking about all the fun you're going to have and your friends that you're going to take on a ride with you, and just how cool you're going to be riding in this Corvette. You open the door and you jump in, and immediately as you jump into the seat of the car you realize you have two problems. One, your legs are too short to reach the gas pedals. You can't get to the gas or brakes. Secondly, you put your hands up on the steering wheel up here and you realize you can't see over the dashboard. Physically, you cannot drive this car. And I want you to think how disappointing that would be. How humiliating that would be in front of your friends. And yet, that may have never happened to you, but it happens every day to people who are challenged with height. It happens every day in some aspect or format of their lives. And so that's what I want to share with you, is how that can be changed. And human growth hormone could absolutely make a change to that. Now let's deal with some of those negative aspects first, so we can kind of understand where we're coming from, and we know the history of our product, and we know where we're headed. First of all, we know that the pituitary gland at the base of the neck, at the back of the brain, produces the human growth hormone. That's what causes the bones to grow and the body to catch up with it. When people have a deficiency or an ineffective pituitary gland, they don't get enough human growth hormone in the body for the body to grow properly. And so they wind up being short. They wind up many times being very short. In fact, I did a little research and discovered that P.T. Barnum made famous one of the very first short people that we actually have on record. I want to share that with you. Commander Nutt. Many of you may have seen this picture, but Commander Nutt's a full-grown man. But you can see here that Commander Nutt is not even half the size of P.T. Barnum. And yet he died that size. Very, very troubled life, a very challenged life. And so we've heard these stories of the abuse of the human growth hormone by people like Manny Ramirez and Lance Armstrongs of the world. But what we haven't maybe heard is the success stories of how many babies and children have been given human growth hormone therapy that have grown up to have successful and normal lives. And that's what I want to talk about. They've discovered in 1985, when this product was first really developed synthetically in the lab, that they could give it to babies. And they test the babies first. They do blood tests. They do size comparison, x-rays of their hands and their arms, and they can discover and determine if the baby actually has this deficiency. And if he does, then they can start human growth hormone right at that time. And most times, by the time the child is ready to enter into school, his growth pattern has already caught up with the rest of his class. And so they could cut back on the growth hormone and then actually eventually discontinue it altogether. So it is a fantastic opportunity to get growth for someone who's struggling with height that way. Now, I like to share, though, the perspective on this that we must have was shared by Dr. Wayne Moore. He's a section chief of pediatric endocrinology at Children's Mercy Hospital. And Dr. Moore said that the goal of growth hormone therapy is to get children to their genetic potential in height, which is determined on an individual basis by taking into account the height of the mother and the father. So it's not that every one size fits all, that you're trying to get to a specific thing, but they look at your family, they take the genetics into account and determine what would be normal for you, and then we can determine from there how much improvement you can have with the hormone growth hormone. But what I wanted to share with you today and leave with you is this, that it's not necessarily a negative thing. It doesn't have to be what you've heard in the news stories. It can be a very positive aspect. It is very expensive, $20,000 to $40,000 for the therapy. But if you know someone who's got a child that's struggling with growth and wants bigger this may be a solution.